Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Plan Commission ARB for Monday, September 15th. If you have any electronic gadgets, please silence them at this time. Before we start, we'd like to welcome Chris Brennan, who is our new member of the Plan Commission, and also welcome 3 of the 4 Clayton Mayor's Youth Advisory Council members. We have Sam Abelies, Danielle Angelides, and Gabrielle Talski. And we hope you'll learn how some of the processes work in the city. Feel free to comment whenever you'd like, or if you'd like. So with that, Ryan, we'll get started.
Steve Lichtenfeld,
Here.
Helen DeFate,
Here.
Susan Buse,
Here.
Jim Arsenault,
Here.
Chris Brennan,
Here.
David Gibson.
Here.
We have minutes from the previous meeting on September 2nd. Are there any changes? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Move to approve as submitted.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll move on to new business. The first item is 818 South Merrimack Avenue. Is the applicant here? Okay. We'll start with the staff report.
Subject property is located on the east side of Merrimack between Daytona and Watkins. The property is zoned R2 and is in the Davis Place subdivision. The property is developed with a 2-story single-family house. The applicant is seeking to construct a 2-story addition on the south side of the house. The addition would be 35 square feet and would house an elevator. The exterior of the addition would comprise of vinyl and would result in the south side facade comprising 45% vinyl, 45% brick, and 10% concrete. Vinyl is not administratively approvable material and requires approval by the Architectural Review Board. Additionally, the Architectural Review guidelines require primary materials such as brick or stone to comprise 75% of a facade. The applicant is seeking approval for the use of vinyl and for the greater use of secondary materials on the south side facade. Additions are common in Davis Place, and there are some examples of vinyl facades nearby. The proposed addition is largely screened from the street by the existing addition and is not likely to alter the character of the area. Staff are of the opinion that the increased use of the secondary material and the use of vinyl will have a minimal visual impact. Staff recommend approval is submitted.
Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Please identify yourself and add anything you'd like.
Sure. My name is Max Bemberg. I'm the architect for this project at 818 South Merrimack. And as Ryan said, I think he covered most of it pretty well, but we are doing a new exterior elevator for the clients on this property who are wanting to age in place in their home. And after looking at other options of where the elevator could go, this seemed to be the most straightforward and cost-effective location for their elevator. And as Ryan also mentioned, the existing addition that is on that south property line there by the driveway, that is also a concrete stem wall foundation and then a vinyl siding for the 2 levels above. And so we're just trying to tie that in and try to tie in the character of that addition as well. So matching the slope of the roof line and also matching the color and scale of that material. So we're trying to make that as if it was kind of built around the same time as that previous addition. And again, as Ryan mentioned, from Merrimack, it will be partially visible when approached from I believe that's the south, but will be mostly hidden from the main structure and that existing addition. So.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming to us. And I agree with the staff recommendation that even though all this vinyl really is over what we allow, that it's really the right direction to go. It's nestled in that little corner. It's basically attached to the existing vinyl addition. And I don't think it'll be noticed by anybody once it's up and in place. Helen?
I think it improves the mass of the existing addition. It makes it more interesting and less like an appendage stuck on.
Mhm.
So while it doesn't comply with the materials, I think it looks good.
Thank you.
Susan,
I have no problems with what you're proposing, so.
Jim,
Do you have, did you bring any material samples of the siding or the roofing or anything that's going to go to show how it matches with the current?
I didn't, not for this project, for the subsequent project that we'll talk about later I did, but for this project, it'll just be a standard, vinyl siding to kind of match the white. It's a pretty standard white color, and the asphalt shingle roofing will also match the existing. So no, sorry, I didn't bring any of those samples with me.
Okay. Because I did have some concerns as far as the style of everything, and I see kind of this gable rises above the current gable of the addition. So you'll be able to see, you know, although most of this will be blocked by the current addition, you will be able to see kind of both these vinyl sidings next to each other. So I'm kind of worried about where one comes into the other.
Sorry, did you mean the roofing or the siding itself?
The siding itself, I mean, you can see from this picture up here, you see that that new gable rises above the current gable. So it's not as if it's completely hidden. So I personally would like some sort of visual representation as the new siding with the old siding and what that will look like. I also know one of the things called out in the packet as far as for submittal to this board is color rendering of the front elevation. And we get a side view, but I personally was kind of looking for how this addition would look for the front. Well, once again, I think the majority of it will be blocked, but as you can see, this gable goes above. And I personally would like to see from the front kind of how these three gables interact with each other and what that does to the form overall from the street. I also just had concerns just since vinyl is not a material that's allowed by the city. I understand that vinyl is already on the house, but adding more vinyl on top of that to go above what goes on any one facade. And then also just from an optics perspective of, I mean, I very much understand and appreciate aging in place and would like people to be able to stay in their house, but an elevator, I think, would still be largely considered a luxury item, and using kind of a suboptimal material to be able to put a luxury item in a house doesn't also 100% sit quite right. So those are my main concerns. That I just feel like visually I don't have what I need to make a decision because not everything was submitted.
Thank you.
Chris,
First off, thank you for the warm welcome, all of you, and thank you for the coffee earlier and discussing and getting me up to speed on this. I am fine with this and don't have much to add other than I think this was a missed opportunity in a way by your firm and by you to direct the client towards something that was a little bit more visually appealing. Vinyl siding is directly off-the-shelf solution, and even on your website, you state that your design's always on your mind and you're trying to get away from off-the-shelf solutions. And I can't think of anything that's more on the shelf than vinyl siding. That being said, it is a 35 square foot addition that you're talking about, and I can see that it would be cost prohibitive perhaps to consider. I am wondering if you considered other alternatives like hardy plank or fiberboard, but I have no problem with this going forward.
We did look at other materials, but again, as you mentioned, it is just in the conversations with the clients, it was because of the cost of the elevator is pretty significant, trying to mitigate that with keeping in line with the materials that are there. So, and also if they were to replace this with hardy or another kind of more long-lasting material, then they might want to then to kind of tie that into the rest of the house. It would kind of make sense to start to want to replace the siding of the existing vinyl siding, and so that it all has the same lifespan, so you're not replacing things at different times and mobilizing that crew at least just once, and then the ripple effects of that became also kind of cost prohibitive. So that's why we kind of ended up lasting with this final decision, just because it is kind of in keeping with the materials there. I don't know what will happen in the future if whenever they do need to reside these volumes, if they would at that point choose to do a different material, but that was kind of the thought process at this point, just mostly because the elevator itself there's quite a bit of an upfront cost in getting that built. So that's where we are.
David?
I don't have any questions or concerns.
Well, I did walk around to take a look. I'm familiar with the house. I think it's very admirable that a couple whose family has grown up wants to stay in their house and make it livable for many, many more years. I did think about maybe it should be brick. Number one, I think it would be difficult to replicate the brick color and the mix because that brick has a lot of different colors in it. And also, I felt that if it were brick, it might actually stick out more than the vinyl. So, Jim, as much as I respect your comments, I would still say that the vinyl in this case is the right way to go. Do we have any comments from the audience or anyone online? No. Okay. Any further comments?
I just have a question. What is the lifespan of vinyl compared to hardy or anything else?
Should know this off head, but I want to say that vinyl has closer to a 20 to 30-year lifespan. And then I want to say hardy probably depends on the exposure and everything, but hardy is 30 to 40, maybe 30 to 50, depending on the exposure and how well it's maintained.
Then when it starts to wear, it's simply replaced with more vinyl. Is that right? Or
Yes.
Thank you for that question, because I believe the existing vinyl is over 20 years, if I recall correctly. And going back to what you were saying, Jim, I think it would be good if you would match that vinyl with the one you're proposing and submit it to staff for a final recommendation.
Sure. Be happy to.
Okay. I would put that into the motion.
I move to approve as submitted, excuse me, with the addition of the requirement that you present the vinyl that you plan on using to the staff for approval.
second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. Did you get that, Brian?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm up. Yeah, as I say.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 2, 832 Winokur Drive.
Subject property is located on the east side of Winokur, south of the street's intersection with Winloo Drive. Property is zoned R2, is in the Clayshire Urban Design District. The property is developed with a one-story single-family house. The applicant is seeking to construct a residential addition and accessory structure. So just focusing on the site plan review. New HVAC units would be proposed in the north side yard and screened with wood fencing. Trash storage would remain unchanged. Impervious and canopy coverage are compliant with the site requirements. The existing stormwater runoff per MST 15-year 20-minute storm calculations is 0.881 cubic feet per second, or CFS. The proposed runoff is 0.975, which represents a 0.94 CFS increase. The runoff is divided between the front and rear yards. A dry well is proposed in the rear yard that would likely accommodate the rear yard runoff increase. The proposal does not account for the 0.002 CFS increase in the front yard, which is equivalent to 18 gallons in a 15-year 20-minute storm event. Staff are of the opinion that the proposal will meet the requirements for site plan review when the front yard runoff shows no increase. Staff recommend approval with the following conditions. 1, that the plan shall be revised to eliminate the increase in stormwater runoff in the front yard. 2, that the applicant shall provide a percolation test report conducted by a qualified geotechnical engineer. The report must assess the performance of the proposed dry well based on the anticipated impact of a 15-year 20-minute storm event. That should the results indicate that the proposed dry well is insufficient to accommodate the stormwater runoff generated by this event, that the applicant shall be required to upsize the dry well accordingly to ensure adequate performance and compliance with the applicable stormwater management standards. And 3, to ensure the future maintenance and operation of the dry well, the applicant shall record a deed restriction noting the location and maintenance requirements of the dry well system and shall provide proof of the recording prior to issuance of a building permit.
Okay, thank you. Comments?
So this first portion is just for the site plan review, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Don't believe I have any other comments to add. I think Ryan mostly covered it, but we are doing, this project is for, just as a quick introduction to the project, we are doing a single-story addition and a detached workshop. The owner is here with us tonight, Mitchell Pollock, who's, yeah, lives at the home with his wife, Kelly. And as Ryan mentioned, we are, through working with our civil engineer, Mike Boucher, who's not here this evening, but working with Mike, we designed the flow well system for the dry flow well in the rear yard, and have the comments about the front yard that we can, address those as we move the project forward. But big picture with the site plan design of the project, we're trying to save as many trees on the site as possible. I believe we're only, through the course of this construction, needing to remove 2 smaller trees, but trying to do as much as we can to keep those existing trees on the site for both, they're, beautiful trees, and Mitch and Kelly have a beautiful rear yard. So trying to, while we're adding these structures, preserve that, the filtering that those trees provide, as well as obviously the benefits of beautiful mature trees on site. So, the project itself, the addition, it's a single-story house, as Ryan mentioned, and adding this addition to the side yard, there's a portion that's exposed. I'm sure we'll get into that in the next ARB portion of the review. But those trees and the landscaping that's existing, trying to utilize those as screening and filtering in terms of visibility from the street. And there is a side gate that Ryan mentioned. There's a fence that's going to be blocking the mechanical equipment, the condensers that will be relocated. Those condensers are currently located where the new addition is going to be constructed, and so we're moving those condensers closer to the front of the house, but then screening those with a nice wood fence. And we have some materials with us this evening, again, with more related to the ARB portion, but just giving you some background as it relates to how we've kind of designed the project with the site.
Okay. I do have a couple questions. Is this property partially in the floodplain?
I believe the property itself is. We made sure in looking at both the survey information, I believe that red dash line there shows a portion of the floodway. We made, a conscious effort to stay out of that floodplain and that overlay. But yes, a portion of that does encroach onto the eastern part of the site, which is planned north there.
So this red line really indicates that no improvements are within the floodplain.
Correct.
Okay. And secondly, in the report, it says notice of this request was sent to property owners within 200 feet of the subject property. Have we heard from anybody?
I've had no inquiries following sending out that agenda.
Okay, thank you. Except for the issue about the stormwater in the front yard, which sounds like you will work to correct, I really don't have a problem with it. It's quite a large addition to the house and to the property, but it seems to fit. I did go over once I figured out how to get in there. Because you have to go all the way to Ladue Road and come back.
Right. Yeah, and there's some construction going on in there as well. I think.
Yeah.
Well, at least last couple times I was there.
So, but otherwise, on site plan review, I'm okay. Ellen?
I do have a question about the rain garden. It's mentioned, but it's not shown.
We were originally looking at creating a rain garden along the side yard property line, but through conversations with our civil engineer as it relates to the code for stormwater mitigation, those stormwater mitigation, what's the right word? utilities or techniques like a rain garden or a flow well system, those have to be a minimum, from my understanding, a minimum of 10 feet from any structure or property line. And so the original idea of a rain garden along that side yard was kind of ruled out based on code implications.
Okay. Then what are you going to do about the rain coming off the roof? That was in lieu of a gutter.
Correct, yeah. So the rain will be captured from the gutter and then directed to that flow well system through an underground drainage system. So it'll go there into the cistern. It'll slowly mitigate that way so that we're not, so the whatever rainwater is captured by those roofs will be directed towards that underground flow well system.
Okay, that's it.
Thanks.
Susan?
Yeah, I ventured over there too. It's a great neighborhood, and hard to navigate. And then I thought I got locked in behind the gate because I wasn't close enough. But yeah, I mainly wanted to make sure the floodplain is a concern. I wanted to make sure there wasn't, you know, downhill to any neighbors or anything, because dry walls are always of concern. I think that, and a 15-year, 20-minute storm event. Is there any excess capacity with this, or are you matching it right to the measurements?
I believe there is some excess capacity. I can't remember exactly, apologize the calculations, but I believe it's a 50-gallon cistern that's going to be, it's not a huge cistern. It's enough to kind of help slow it down. But it will be, you know, it'll be helpful for mitigating that and slowing that water down as it does, you know, leave the site.
And I appreciate you're trying to keep as many trees as possible in this, because that's certainly, and I am curious to find out more about why the rain garden restrictions. Because those, no matter what size, anything that you're doing in that regard with to enhance the property.
Mm-hmm. I want to say, and again, I'm not a civil engineer, but I want to say that, yeah, it would be nice to have a rain garden along that side yard there. But I believe it's mostly just to mitigate if there is a buildup of water, or there is a major rain event, that doesn't cause water either to come into the structure or into the neighbor's property. So trying to get it away from any structures or property lines, I'm guessing, is just to resolve any potential problems there.
Okay, and then the other question I had was on the lighting. I'm hoping it says that the lighting is you're preventing spillover and they'll be shielded. Is it going to be down-facing lighting for the night skies, the dark skies standards that we now have?
Yeah, we haven't gotten into specifics of lighting, but no, I don't believe we're going to have any lanterns or anything that would be doing any uplighting on the project.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Jim?
I don't have any additional comments or concerns for site plan.
Chris?
Assuming that the rain garden was not in the initial runoff calculations, I have no other concerns.
David?
Concerns?
Any comments or hands up? Okay. And Max, you already indicated you understand the three recommendations
Yes, sir.
and you agree with them, right?
Yes.
Okay. Any other item we need to put in? No? Then do we have a motion?
So motion.
I move to approve as submitted with the staff recommendations, numbers 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We can move on to the ARB.
The applicant is proposing an addition and accessory structure. Additions are common, and accessory structures are limited nearby. The applicant is proposing the use of only hardy siding for these structures, which does not comply with the requirements of the Clayshire Urban Design District. The applicant is seeking approval via alternative compliance. Although in the Urban Design District, the Tanglewood subdivision is distinct and disconnected from the rest of the Urban Design District, siding and multi-material facades are common, and staff have concluded the following: that Tanglewood has a unique character elements that are not reflected in the Clayshire Urban Design District, that the introduction of siding will have some visual impact but is in character with homes nearby, and that the introduction of a siding-only accessory structure will have a character impact but has design that is cohesive with the existing home's materials. Staff are of the opinion that the applicant has met the criteria for alternative compliance and recommend approval as submitted.
Okay.
Thank you, Ryan. And so as it relates to materials, I know that in this district, there are requirements for a certain proportion of a masonry material. And in this project, we're looking to use materials, as Ryan mentioned, that are harmonious and kind of blending with the character of the existing house. Also that it is a side and rear yard addition, trying to, again, keep costs somewhat in check, and brick being a very nice material, but also a very costly material, and trying to do something that is, again, still a durable material and still something that is going to last a great long time. As we mentioned earlier, with hardy as a cladding material, it has a pretty long lifespan of, I can't remember exactly, but 30 to 50 years if it's maintained properly and installed properly in the beginning. And the existing home, through the photos that were shared with the board, the existing home has a blend of masonry on the front facade, as well as a darker gray lap siding, which I believe is that hardy, or is that, yeah, is hardy as well, with a even darker or almost black accent trim on the existing house. And so we are trying to use similar materials of those accent materials, being that these are also, at least the workshop itself is an accessory structure on the site. So letting the brick, again, maintain as the primary material on the primary structure of the house. And then trying to keep the strong horizontal bands of the existing house and keep that as a design motif going into the actual character of these additions, which are trying to be, again, very low slung, not trying to compete with the mass of the existing house, especially the addition. And we brought some samples of the materials with us tonight. In the packets, we did call out a wood soffit. Originally, we were talking about potentially like a marine grade plywood or a material like that. But through further conversations, looking at instead still a wood soffit, but a fir soffit, so a 1x6 clear or potentially tight knot fir. And I brought a sample of that material as well. And then also looking again at the specifics of the hardy, we're looking at using a large format lap siding on the lower portion of the both addition and workshop, and then on the upper portion using a board and batten patterning to kind of break up the material, so it's not all just one material, but trying to play with the kind of staggering and variation of those proportions. The roofing material on both the addition and the workshop are going to be a TPO white roof. It won't be visible from the street. Just given how far set back and the height of the structures, you won't be able to really see the roofing material. And it's a low slope roof, 1/4 inch per foot. So again, it'll almost appear almost close to a flat roof. And really what will be most visible will be those overhangs. We're trying to have a 3-foot overhang on the single story addition to the house. And that 3-foot overhang will kind of act as weather protection for that side entry there. And so as you're coming through the front gate, this kind of wood fence that will be there, walking down that walkway covered by this nice fir wood soffit, that'll kind of bring you into this side addition of the house, and then further around to the workshop. So that's a brief introduction to the materials.
You may have referred to the roof before.
Mm-hmm.
But is it sloping to the north? The workshop?
Yes, they are sloping to the north towards the side yard.
Yeah, okay. Before we go any further, could you hold up all the materials, indicate where they go, so that everyone can see them? And let the audience also see it.
We're going to have black.
having seen the materials, they look very dark here. However, having seen the house,
Sure.
I think they fit. So I'm glad I went and looked at the house.
Foliage that's on the site. I think the contrast of the, the dark materials kind of help the buildings try to recede a little bit, and that the green of the trees and everything else can kind of be in the foreground and really catch your eye. And these buildings trying to, being darker materials, not so stark that they're all just black and not what I'm wearing tonight, all black, but something that has a little bit of variation, like I said earlier, in board and batten, so vertical kind of lines on the upper portion, and then longer horizontal lines on the lower portion. Again, kind of quiet, not trying to do too many things, but just use simple, durable materials, but in a way that can be, utilitarian, durable, long-lasting, but, beautiful, hopefully, in its simplicity.
Actually, I think you had a real complex problem working with this house, deciding what materials to bring in. So I commend you for that. What is the lifespan of the TPO?
That's also a good question. I believe that also is closer to I don't know, Mitch, if you happen to know, but I want to say it's closer to 30 or 40 years as well. It's long. I know it's quite a bit longer than asphalt shingles, even architectural asphalt shingles. Those are 20-year, roughly, give or take, 20, 30-year. So I believe that a TPO roof, if maintained and doesn't have any punctures or severe weathering, can be hopefully 40, 30, 40, 50. But I'll have to double check that. I can let you know.
Very few people realize that this street is in Clayton because it's separated from the neighborhood next to it. But it's there, and we have to deal with it. Actually, I have no problem with the materials, and I do think the workshop is quite large. Can you tell us what will go into it?
Which you want to weigh in?
Please come up.
We have a two-car garage in the house, and I am a woodworker, so I have a lot of stationary tools that fill that garage. And right now, it's like Tetris, moving anything around. So it's going to be partially a wood shop. Right now, we have a plastic shed in the back that houses our lawnmower and all gardening stuff. So a portion of that shop will also be a shed inside. So it is kind of large, but I've plotted out all of the layout with all of the sizes of my tools, and it's just kind of, I determine what I need to do if approved, but it's not worth it for me to go any smaller and still pay for something like this. So it's the size that I need.
Thank you.
Sure.
Ellen?
Yeah, it is large. It's roughly two-car garages. And I'm not a fan of saying, it's okay to exceed the secondary material limits. But in this case, it works, and I like it. I think using the siding really creates, the workshop looks like a garage, albeit large. You don't really see the depth of it from the street. And I think keeping it with siding is more characteristic of a garage. The old houses, brick house, wood garage, wood frame, wood siding garage. So I think it works. Yes, I obviously like black too. So I have no problems with it. My only thought, having done a woodworking shop much smaller, what about exhausts and things like that? Will that be impacting the appearance of the building?
There'll be a vent coming out. I have already in my current garage, I have a pretty extensive dust collection system. So it's 6-inch piping, which will run along the ceiling, and there are filters for it that I'll box into the inside. So it'll just, be a smaller 2x2 closet for the filters, but nothing will be put out into the environment.
Okay. Looks good.
Susan?
Yeah, I'm always impressed with people who can do the woodworking and everything else. And my only comment is it's refreshing to see a light colored roofing materials from a sustainability standpoint. So thanks for including that.
Jim?
Material wise, I actually don't have any problems with it. And I think it's, especially given the context of the current house, I think it fits in very well. So even though it's over the limit, I actually think it's a really elegant solution here. My concern is with the renderings as far as to get context of the size of the shop versus the addition. On the plans, it looks like the addition goes up to roughly like 9 foot. And at least that's the measurement that I called out on one of the elevations. And you kind of can see the shop behind it here, where the shop goes up to 11'2", and then on the far end, it's all the way 11'10". My concern is that from the street, that wood shop is going to look, even though it's pushed back, even though it's dark, it's going to look very hulking, like a hulking warehouse behind that. So I guess I didn't understand why there wasn't why there wasn't a street elevation, so we could see kind of like what this shop would look like from the front. And then also how this addition kind of ties into the main structure and what visually that would look like. The renderings that we do have are kind of from an up high angle, not necessarily how you would experience it on the street. And there's no context elevation either as far as how that is going to look to either house on the left or right.
That, I understand. I hear your comment there. The addition west, that number 6 view in the very bottom right there, that would be the view from the street. But to your point, yeah, the rest of that facade is not fully rendered, nor are the neighbors in context there. But as you mentioned, the outline of the shop, they're seen kind of, the line weights aren't showing up super well on the screen there, but you can see the mass of the workshop kind of in the distance there. But again, along that side yard, there are existing trees both on the property on 832 Winneker, as well as the neighboring property that will help to kind of help screen those, screen the workshop itself from the street. And there was another rendering that was towards the end of the packet. I want to say it was, actually, this is the very last image, this image 14, kind of showing that view when looking from the, again, it's a little bit more zoomed in, but if it was zoomed out, that's the approach from the street. But I understand, I can provide those images if that would be helpful to kind of show with the context and with the foliage and the trees that are there, how the workshop would appear. But through internal studies of that kind of looking at that, it will be pretty well screened from the street. Yeah, but I'd be happy to provide additional images.
Yeah, I don't, it's not a deal breaker for me. I just say I would have appreciated a little more additional context just when you're, because I think with structures like this, sometimes I know from past experiences where, you're kind of just looking at plans and you're like, okay, and then it goes up and then the neighbors kind of freak out a little bit and they're like, oh, like, who approved this and why and stuff like that. And, sometimes after the fact, it comes across as a little larger than people were expecting. So I'd say in the future, if you could provide more of a frontal context for what's going on to give everyone a bit more of an idea, I think it would be helpful.
Understood. Thanks.
Chris?
I kind of think you knocked it out of the park on this. I really like this, and this might be my contemporary bent, but in essence, you've got a box that you've done, but you've done something really cool with it. And it, quite often an outbuilding or an accessory building kind of looks like it's sneaking into the picture like a unwanted son-in-law or something. And in this case, I think it fits in really nicely. I love the choice of the hardy plank, the soffits that you're choosing. All of it really just shows a good design aesthetic to it. I'm personally jealous that you're getting a workshop, the one that I kind of would like to have in my house, but I'll remember your name. The only caveat I would have, and it's definitely not anything that's disproving, with that rubberized roof, I would consider that in years forward, since it's below tree line, I think you're going to get a lot of, depending on the type of trees, a lot of things dropping down on there. So I think the estimate for the age of the roof might be shortened somewhat, and then just plan on getting out there a couple times a year and kind of sweeping that off, blowing it off or anything like that. And then make sure you hang a nice winter coat by your back door, because going out there in January from there is just a short distance, but it's really nicely done though.
Thank you.
David,
It's a great project. I don't have any concerns.
Thank you.
any comments from the audience? No. Okay. Max, the rendering on the screen is much better than
Paper.
this. And I do see that we get the foreshortening process in looking at the workshop at the very end. It does look shorter than on the flat two-dimensional renderings. So I think it works fine. So with that, we do have staff recommendation to approve as submitted. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. When will this get started?
Good question. Yeah.
Well, good luck with it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, we're coming up to items 4 and 5, and that's 801 Seminary Place. Is the applicant here?
Steve, they're online if you have any questions.
Okay. Hello, Cole.
Hello.
We'll get started with the staff report.
Okay.
So this is a request from Concordia Seminary to extend the approval for 1 year on the architecture review board and the site plan review. At their meeting last week, the Board of Aldermen approved this extension request. As you saw in the letter that Concordia provided, this is due to kind of the timeline lapse after the WashU overlay for part of Concordia's campus did not go through. They contemplated other decisions, whether or not to move forward, ultimately decided to move forward with their project as they have planned it. But because of that little delay, they need some more time to actually start construction. So the request today is just to extend the approval deadline, not to actually change anything about the project.
Do we need to vote once or twice?
You would vote twice.
Twice, okay. Well, I see no problem. I think this is the right thing to do. Helen?
No problem.
Susan?
Sounds great. I would love an update if there's anything that you want to share with us on the properties.
On the western parcel, they're still laying out potential options for that. I personally do not know of any movement forward on the western parcel. I do know though that their internal board at Concordia, the Board of Regents, did decide to move forward with the new construction component so that we can get the people in those western properties moved onto campus and into the new housing, so that eventually those houses can be fully vacated, demolished, and the site can be prepared for its future potential use.
Okay, thank you.
Jim?
No issues.
Chris?
No issues.
David?
No issues.
Okay, let's take the site plan review first. And of course, we have a staff recommendation. And I think we need to relate that also.
I move to approve the one-year time extension to the site plan with the staff's recommendation that all previous conditions approved by the Plan Commission on October 7th, 2024 remain in effect.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Can we go directly into a vote? Okay. Same thing, couple of different words.
I move to approve a one-year time extension to the architectural review with the staff recommendation that all previous conditions approved by the Architectural Review Board on October 7th, 2024 remain in effect.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Sounds good. Well, we've come to the end of the meeting. Generally, we go around, and if there are any comments from individuals, now's the time. So Chris, you're the newest. We'll start with you.
No, my thanks again.
Jim?
First, welcome, Chris. We're happy to have you here. Second, last Wednesday, got to go to the Community Engagement Forum for Clayton Schools as far as possible improvements for their new buildings. I was happy to see Susan and Anna and several members of our Parks Department. Very interesting process to kind of see how that's coming along. I was very impressed with the architects. Even though everything is kind of rough and fuzzy at this point, I really appreciate the direction everything's going.
Susan?
I don't have anything. Thanks.
Ellen?
Nothing except welcome, Chris.
David?
Nothing tonight.
Before we go on from our three Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, if you have any comments, you're certainly welcome to speak at this point. If not, we'll look forward to seeing you at another meeting.
Want to be an architect? I think so.
Well, we hope after you've come to many meetings, you still have that desire. Ryan?
Nothing else?
Anna?
No, hard at work at some text amendments, so hopefully those will be ready to go here shortly. And Ryan's attending the local Missouri APA conference, but he made a guest appearance here tonight, even though he's at a conference. So hopefully we're also going to hear some good stuff from that when he gets back next week.
Good. And thank you, Mr. O'Keefe.
It's
for
an honor to be
gracing
here.
us. Yeah,
Good to
we
be
don't
here.
get to see you that often.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Any comments?
No, sir.
You didn't reprimand us on anything tonight?
There was no cause
Thank
this
you.
time.
Definitely. Okay, thank you, everyone. We're adjourned.